Adam, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right, perfect.
What's up, guys?
What's
This
up?
this is a positive.
So, just so I understand, once I'm on with Hank, is there a way to mute out all the other participants besides the four of us, the co-hosts?
Yeah, so I have it to automatically mute everybody.
Okay, perfect.
And then obviously now you're the host, and so you'll be able to mute anybody if you see somebody pop up that's giving feedback.
And I don't think anyone has the Zoom link. I think I'm sending everyone to the Facebook Live.
So I put the Zoom link in our platform.
Oh, okay, cool.
So just in our platform, because that's where I had like the countdown and everything. And so
great.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we'll want to give Hank, obviously, co-host access as soon as he jumps on. I texted him saying we'd get on early so that he could jump on.
And then do I, like when I turn things over to Hank for his 25 minutes-ish, do I like mute myself or keep the video rolling, you think? Or what are the four of us?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it would be nice to just pin his video.
Right.
But I don't know if that just pins it for us.
Gotcha.
Like for the individual that pins it, or if it pins it for everybody. Sorry.
No, it does. If you spotlight the video, that's what you want to do is spotlight.
Oh, okay. Yeah, do that. Oh, spotlight video. There you go.
So spotlight the video puts them. You just go to the top right, hit the three dots, and hit spotlight video. So I've spotlighted you now, Gary. Now unspotlight yourself and spotlight me to practice.
Okay, I'm on my phone doing this. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Spotlight video. I don't know if I can. Let me see.
My brother's.
Oh, yes.
He sent it to his ward. So.
Yeah, I sent it. My bishop sent it to his ward.
So can I spotlight Hank then? Is that what you're saying, Isaac?
That's what I would do, yeah.
Okay. And then that way people are just looking at him really.
They only will look at him the entire time. They can't even if someone pops in and they are talking or whatever, it still wouldn't pop them up on the top of the screen. So
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So right now you're spotlighted. But now I will unspotlight you. Okay.
Can you guys hear my background feedback or no?
A little bit.
You
can probably hear me too. My boys are crazy.
Hey, bud.
All right. So I will obviously. So I will spotlight myself. I'm doing the introduction and the.
You want me to spotlight you for you?
Yeah, if you can, that'd be great. The housekeeping stuff. So I was thinking about this, Isaac. Obviously, I'll say hi, do my intro to who I am. Thank you for signing on. Looking forward to tonight's event. And then before we do anything, I'll give an itinerary and then I'll turn it over to you to say the prayer. Then I'll do housekeeping items. Then I'll turn it over to Hank. And then we'll do the Q&A on the back end.
Perfect.
Does that sound good?
We didn't get any Q&A from anybody, so I'm glad Krista came up with those questions.
Yeah, and Jessica sent me a few more too. So I have 12 or 13 questions. Yeah. So,
15 minutes.
Yeah. So that work for you, Isaac? If I just do like a real brief intro, and say thank you for joining us.
Oh, I think we should.
Yeah, and then do prayer, then do housekeeping.
I would in the intro, dude. I would talk about who we are a little bit more for those who are coming on for the first time.
Well, I was thinking it would be awkward though for me to do that, then break it up with a prayer.
Maybe do that after the prayer. Do it after the prayer.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. No, sorry, I wasn't saying before the prayer. But
okay.
Yeah, at some point before we introduce Hank, it'd be great to be like, can you believe that 2 months ago we filed for 501c3 status or however you would put that in a way that doesn't sound weird, and here we are.
Right.
You look good, Gary.
Thank you. Appreciate it, buddy. You too.
Yeah, my man. So.
Okay, I'm trying to check the.
I put this
YouTube.
all over my both sides of family group chats to be like, just everyone
Yeah. Oh, I wonder if Hank's going to even ask us later on, what the view count was. I mean, obviously, every view that we show probably has 2 or 3 people, I would hope, not just
Yeah,
a
you
single
hope.
person.
Agreed.
You know, so we'll have a good group tonight. Excited.
Okay. Well, good.
Oh, okay, cool. So just in our platform, because that's where I had like the countdown. Okay, cool. The YouTube live is working. There's Hank.
Awesome. How you doing, Hank?
What's up, Hank?
Good to see you.
You too. Good evening, sir. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Absolutely. You can hear me really well?
Yes, sir.
Perfect.
And just
All right, I'm going to go
just-
throw a tie on,
okay,
but I
perfect.
can hear you.
Okay.
I think you can
We
keep talking.
we were just talking through the structure, Hank, and what we'll do is I will give a very brief thank you for joining us. Welcome. Then we'll go to Isaac for the prayer. Then I'll bring it back to me for housekeeping items. And then we'll turn it over to you for your 25, 30 minutes. And then we have about 10 to 12 questions so far. And then we'll
Okay.
field. So I don't know if you're, in a rush for anything to get out of here,
Nope.
but I don't want to go beyond 8 p.m. if that's okay, just to keep it
Oh, yeah.
about an hour tops.
Good idea.
So, okay. If you're not pressed for time, then we'll go to 8 if we can.
I need to button this too, huh? Shoot. Gotta really suck it in. Hang on. Come on. Can we do a master class on buttoning your top button when you're gaining weight?
Yeah, I guess we
Oh.
have to.
Hey, but that game last night was fun. I
That was
enjoy
fun.
That
I
was fun to
enjoy not stressing.
It was a bizarre experience to be there.
I'm sure it was.
And, 'cause sometimes the artificial noise would cut out and there wouldn't be anything over the PA for like 15, 20 seconds at a time. And
Really?
it was so bizarre. Yeah. It was gnarly.
All right.
Barry, do you want to make Hank a co-host or host?
Yes. I
Yeah,
will do
maybe
that
a
right
post so
now.
I can clear
Thank
my
you.
screen.
Okay. All right. That is now done for you, sir. And then Hank, are you thinking about 25, 30 minutes before we get into the Q&A?
Yeah, sure. I can,
Okay.
I'll be watching it.
Okay.
Sometimes I lose track of time, but I'll try to keep
Gary, I would be
Perfect.
sure to ask, the participants to include in the chat any questions they have, do you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
So are we gonna have just us on the Zoom, or are we gonna have other people on the Zoom and on YouTube?
There may be some on the Zoom. The majority will certainly be on the Facebook Live and
Oh, okay, yeah.
YouTube Live,
Okay.
because that was primarily what we blasted out on social media and bishops and wards and stuff like that. And so,
Okay.
yeah. But those who are already members of the platform could access the Zoom. We just wanted to control the Zoom a little bit, just so there wasn't any hacking. And all
Yeah,
that
good
stuff.
idea. Good.
And we do have a thank you gift, Hank. So please know we have a little bit more class than to
Oh, no,
not
no.
deprive you of anything.
you're
So,
actually gonna love it.
Do
Not to
not
oversell.
not give me anything, guys. It's not that hard to come upstairs to my office and talk, right? Adam, this seminary teachers can't clear their throat in 20 minutes.
Right. Amen.
20 minutes. All right, I'll do it, but
Yeah.
just know I'll be in the middle of my intro.
I had a coworker just a few months ago comment to me after a meeting. He's like, Adam, less is more. When you make a comment in a meeting, make it short.
Make it short.
I was like, thanks a lot.
Thanks. That's really helpful. All right, let me make sure my slides are all set. We're looking good. So are we going to do more of these? Is this going to be a... Oh, Sister Marchant is here.
Actually, my administrative assistant. So
Ah, hello,
her
Sister.
daughter's a cross country runner.
Hi.
Oh, it's Abby. Oh, hey, Abby.
Yeah, my name has got, my mom used my laptop once and now my name is Forever Sister Marchant.
It works.
I love that.
So,
actually.
yes,
That's great.
Noel is lined up for October 11th.
Oh, great. Okay, let me know
So-
and I'll just send me the poster so I can put it online for you.
Okay, cool.
She's
Great.
fantastic too. Noelle's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's great. And then we did talk to Jonathan Tavernari, and he wants to do
JT.
a slew of camps for us in the spring across the country.
Great.
So that's exciting.
Did you tell him I was on board? He and I are Twitter buddies.
We did. He was excited to see
love
you and Noel, yeah, as part of the gang. So
Yeah,
he's stoked.
he is so funny.
Mhm.
And he picks on Jazz fans on Twitter. It drives me crazy. The Lakers guy. Which I don't know how you can be a Lakers guy. I mean, I just Noel, right? Or no, wait,
Gary
Abby?
is.
Gary's
Gary's
a
a
Laker
big
guy.
Lakers
I am
guy.
a Lakers fan. I'm from
Gary.
LA, so
Gary.
I was thrilled last night.
Tell me you were a Lakers fan a
Doubly
long
thrilled.
time ago. I don't mind.
I've been a
someone who
Lakers
started when
fan.
they were young.
I've been a Lakers fan since '85.
Oh, okay.
So,
Yeah, I
yeah,
can do that. I can do Magic
Yeah.
Johnson,
yeah,
Kareem.
That's right. That's right.
And I was getting my doctorate during Kobe's years. I really never watched Kobe play just because I was. Did you get a doctorate, Adam? I mean, you disappear for 6 years.
Well, I got law degree, so I have a doctorate.
Yeah.
But I did it before. I took the most expensive way to become a seminary teacher. So
Christopher Harden's here.
What up, Chris?
How's it going? All
What's up,
excited?
buddy? Yes, sir.
A good-looking.
Hank,
brute.
you gonna knock our socks off?
No, absolutely not. I I want to, but I'll set the expectations low. I've heard the key to a happy life is low expectations. So we'll manage your. We'll try not to bore you.
Well, I'm pretty excited. So
Oh, thanks, Chris. Abby, how old are you? Cross country?
Yeah, I'm 16,
Okay.
almost 17.
And how's cross country going this year? Is it almost over? Is it?
We actually, where I am, they are like postponed all of our sports till the spring. So
Okay.
I'm doing like a running club with like some of my teammates, but that's it.
That's it. Just wait and see. Well, hopefully in
Well-
the spring it'll be amazing.
Hopefully.
You gotta get your miles in though. So
Oh
not-
yeah,
not that I know anything about that, but just get your miles in. Okay.
plenty of them.
Okay.
Oh, this is gonna be fun. Abby, you laugh at all the jokes because I'll be watching you.
Always.
Laugh at all the jokes.
You honestly have to have that one person, right? You know.
Hi, Abby's mom.
Hi, we love Adam. He does a great job.
Isn't
But
he-
I have to tell you, Brother Smith, she's a huge fan of yours and she reads
Oh,
all
really?
your quotes. She's always posting your quotes.
Oh, Abby. Oh, that's dear to me, Abby. We're good friends now.
Yeah, I follow you on Instagram and I feel like all my followers are annoyed because I post your quotes like 90% of the time.
Well, you tell them never be annoyed. Oh, that's so nice of you, Abby. Really. It's weird with social media. There are plenty of people that will tell you how much they hate you. So it's really nice to hear when someone likes it. I'll tell you that.
Okay, well, I will tell you whenever you need it.
Okay, I will. Yeah, Abby, just keep commenting like, good job, Hank. Because
On it.
yeah, there are some people. Oh, man. There's some people who just want to be angry.
Oh yeah,
I'm like,
plenty of
"Oh,
them.
I just said love Jesus. Well, I hate you for that.
Jeez.
Oh my word, is that Jessica Beckstrand? That is one of my best friends in the whole wide world. Oh, I love that girl. Look at her. Your name's not Zach Knowlton.
I know, I'm checking his computer.
He should have taken your name,
Really.
Zach Beckstrand. Oh, good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Oh, that makes me happy. Isaac and Gary, do you guys know Zach? Or not Zach, do you guys know Jessica?
I do know Jessica. I'm just getting to know her better and better, but she's awesome.
Yeah, she lived in my basement for years.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Very
we had her
nice.
prison down there. Just kidding. We had a little basement apartment. And she lived there and she had her first little baby. Oh, little Coop, mini Coop. He's not mini anymore. How old is he?
He'll be 6 in December.
That's so wild. Yeah, the twins are getting baptized this
I
year,
know.
like in a month.
That's crazy.
Our little babies. And how are the other kids? I don't even know the other ones. I've never even met them.
Yeah, Elsie, she's great. She's
She's
obsessed
3,
with all
4?
things pink. Yep, she's 3.
Just like her mom, all things pink, right?
Yeah, oh, I love pink. And yeah, Tucker, he'll be 1 in a week and a half. So
My word. Oh,
yeah,
this makes me so happy.
yeah.
I
I
got
quickly
Abby,
drove
who's a
past your
good friend.
house a few weeks ago, and I realized you guys have changed like the whole outside.
Yeah, we've changed quite a bit. Sarah said I hate this house, so we're either moving or we're changing it. And I was like, well, I'll do it, So she said, I'll change the whole thing. So she changed the whole thing.
Perfect.
Yeah. And then it almost burned down. Did you see that?
I
It was
did.
the backyard, the fire is 20 feet from the back porch, from the
That's
back door.
crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It was wild. In fact, they said that the firefighters are like, we gave up on your house and the Allen's house, the one up, yeah,
Oh yeah.
Casey and Jay. They're like, we gave up on those two and went and really defended the others. And then once we felt like they were okay, we actually came back to yours. We thought it was going to be gone. I was like,
Oh,
great.
thank you.
Yeah, thanks for telling me. Oh, Jessica, you just make me so happy. Is Zach around? Tell him hi for me.
Well, he's putting all the kids to bed, so
Tell him next year's our year for the Jazz. Yeah. It's our year. That's going to be on my tombstone. Next year's our year.
Yep.
But I can keep up on the other sports by just watching Zach's Twitter.
That's very true.
Yeah. So he knows a lot about sports, that guy.
He does.
Is he at BYU? No. Where's he working?
So he's a data scientist for Progressively Seen, but he is teaching a sports analytics class at BYU. So
Oh, good.
Yeah.
He gets to do somewhat of that, keep his finger in that world.
he does. He loves that. So.
Statistics. Some people, Jessica. Some people.
I married a nerd who's also an athlete.
My statistics classes, they were torture. And I thought, who does this? Who's like,
My husband.
I was like, I'll hire this out.
Yeah. Indeed.
Did Adam disappear on us? Is he still around?
I'm still here.
Okay.
Yeah, Gary's going to be starting us off. We have about 30 or so on the other platforms coming in so far. So yeah, I think it's a good time to start rolling.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Adam. Can I just remind everybody on Zoom, the Zoom call, can you please mute yourselves when you're not speaking, if you're not speaking? Thank you for being on, everybody. My name is Gary Verone. I'm the Chief Operating Officer with Ensign Athletics. Very excited to have you tonight. Very excited to have a prolific speaker, author, and professor, Hank Smith, give our inaugural team meeting. I'll give a better and more thorough introduction to Hank here in a few minutes. But first, I want to give you the itinerary and rundown for tonight. So before we get into anything, we'll have a prayer by Isaac Wood, who's our Chief Communications Officer with Ensign Athletics. After that, I will do some housekeeping items as to what EA is and how you can participate and join and get involved with Ensign Athletics. After that, I will turn the time over for about 30 minutes to Dr. Hank Smith, and we'll have the privilege to hear from him. And then following Dr. Hank Smith's speech tonight or talk tonight, we'll be blessed to have a Q&A session for about 20 minutes. And so far, we've had about 10 or 12 questions come in. If you, the viewers, have any questions you want to ask Dr. Smith, please send those in via the chat platform. If you're on Facebook Live, please send those in via Facebook Live. If you're on Zoom, go ahead and message me, the host, directly, Gary Verone, or through YouTube, go ahead and leave a comment with a question that you might have. So without further ado, we'll have Mr. Isaac Wood give our opening prayer, please.
Our Father in heaven, we are grateful to meet together for this time to hear the word of the Lord from Brother Hank Smith. We're grateful for the chance to partake of the sacrament today, to turn our attentions to thee and to thy Son, Jesus Christ. Help us to feel thy love and his love, and to feel the Holy Ghost as we listen tonight, and that we can be directed to know how we can improve our lives and to come closer to thee. We love thee. We love thy Son. We're so grateful for him and his atoning sacrifice. And we say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Isaac. So before I do the bio on Brother Smith, I do want to talk about Ensign Athletics for a moment. So a few months ago, a few buddies and I got together and talked about how we can help out the youth and young adults in the church. What binds them, what keeps them tethered to the gospel and to the church. And my buddies and I all work in athletics, and we knew that there was a lot of interest and a lot of just attraction to sports across the board. And so we came up with the idea for Ensign Athletics roughly about 60 to 75 days ago. And since then, we've hit the ground running. We've filed paperwork to become a formal 501c3 nonprofit organization, and that's in the works. We're just waiting on final approval with the IRS for that. But what Ensign Athletics is really about is helping youth and young adults achieve highest levels of success in their spiritual, educational, and athletic pursuits. And the way we do that is by providing these types of events, these team meetings / devotionals for young people. We're going to have camps starting in the 2021 calendar year. We're looking forward to that. We're also launching a number of educational units or classes that we're going to be calling Ensign University. And we also have launched a social media platform that all of you can sign up for. There is no restriction on who can join. Now, obviously, our values align with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, but it's open to anybody and everybody, irrespective of religion or religious status. The only condition that we have, just because of privacy issues, et cetera, is that you have to be at least 13 years of age. So if you're 13 or older, whether you're a coach, you're a parent, you love sports, you're an athlete, like myself, I'm a terrible athlete, but I love sports. If you want to be engaged with the youth or with like-minded people, we encourage you to join at ensignathletics.org and sign up for a social media platform account. The app for the platform will be forthcoming, but right now we have several dozen users on the platform growing every day that are engaging in all kinds of sports. We had a request recently for esports, for falconry. So we are not discriminating against anybody at all. If you love, a non-popular sport, we want you on the platform. If you love sports, if you like to engage in sports, if you like to talk sports, if you have a background, in analytics or whatever, we want you on the platform. So again, that's ensignathletics.org. Please spread the word, sign up for an account. It's of no cost to you at all. There will never be a cost associated with the platform. It is a platform that we pride ourselves in because it's safe. It's meant to be used by individuals who have like values that align with the LDS faith and church. So if you're worried about, uncertainties with social media safety, guardrails, et cetera, we have implemented some pretty strict guardrails just to make sure that everybody feels safe and welcome on the platform. So that's a little bit about Ensign Athletics. Again, feel free to reach out to any of us on that website. It has our about information, our contact information. But without further ado, I'd love to turn the time over to Dr. Hank Smith, and I will give a very fair but brief intro to him. Now, Hank is very prolific, so this intro could be pages and pages long, but I'll read just a couple of paragraphs for you guys. So Dr. Hank Smith grew up in the Red Cliffs of St. George. He earned a master's degree from Utah State University and a PhD from BYU, where he now works and serves as an assistant professor, in addition to his work consulting companies and school districts. Dr. Hank speaks for school assemblies around the country. He also has authored many books and talks on CDs and digital media with Covenant Communications. He's really a contemporary John By the Way character, and in a lot of ways, because of his social media reach, I think has been able to do a lot more than Brother By the Way has, just because Hank is so in tune and such a strong presence on social media. Dr. Hank and his wife, Sarah, currently live in Mapleton, Utah, where they love to hike and camp. Dr. Hank says, Sarah is a miracle. She knows everything about me and still loves me. They have 5 incredibly adorable children and got their looks all from their mother. Hank enjoys the Utah Jazz. No, really, he loves the Utah Jazz. He also runs marathons and enjoys eating out, which is why he runs marathons. So without further ado, I turn the time over to Brother Hank Smith.
Wow, Gary, thank you so much. I am so excited to be here, you guys. When I was invited to be part of this team at Ensign Athletics, I had to first ask the question, do you have to be an athlete to take part, right? Like a real athlete? Because I like to think of myself as an athlete because I jog and I can make a couple free throws out of 100. So I like to think of myself as, pretty amazing. But I thought, now, do you really have to be an athlete? Am I going to have to do actual athletics? And they said, no, you can just keep talking. And I can do that. You guys who are watching, you be the athletes. You go out and do the amazing things. And when the light, shines down on you, this is what Ensign Athletics is about, is when that light hits you, you can show the world who you are and what you believe in. I'm going to share my screen with you here because I want to tell a couple of stories. Let's see if I can bring that up. Here we go. I hope you will go visit the website as soon as possible. Ensign Athletics. Go get signed up on the social media platform they have there. Go just start to get involved, and you'll see this thing. It's brand new, just like Gary told you. I mean, we are in infancy stage right now, and so you can get in the very beginning, be part of this from day one. This is our first team meeting. Now, what I wanted to talk about is choices, decisions. So often we realize that our life is made up of all of our decisions. If you want to have a happy, successful life, you just make a bunch of happy, successful decisions. The problem is we make bad decisions. Have you ever made a mistake while playing athletics, right? And something happens and you're like, oh no, right? This was not supposed to happen. But pretty soon you're injured or your face is wrapped around a bicycle tire or something. Have you ever helped a friend make a bad choice? I don't know. Friends should not help other friends make bad choices, right? I couldn't figure this next one out. Have you ever had to been helped when you made a bad choice? Like people had to come to your rescue? See if you can figure out what happened here. This guy was out golfing and something went wrong. I'm not sure what went wrong. Either he was attacked or he took a tumble, or, I mean, look at the EMTs. They're looking at him like, I have no idea what we're going to do here. I have a bunch of little boys in my house and I read Harry Potter to them every night. In fact, even as I was coming up to my office, they said, Dad, are you going to be down to read Harry Potter? I love to read Harry Potter. I do all the voices for Harry Potter. You probably read Harry Potter when you were a kid. I do the voice of Hermione like this. She's like, I don't think we should do that, Harry. And then there's Ron, who's like, blimey, mate. And then there's Hagrid, who's like, hello, Harry, what you been doing? And then there's, McGonagall, when she's like, Mr. Potter, right? I do all the voices and my little boys eat it up because they don't know any better, right? They think I'm the greatest dad in the world because I'm the only dad they've ever had. But there is this part of Harry Potter where I always stop and we talk about it with my boys. It's I think this is in book 1, and Dumbledore turns to little Harry Potter, and says in his Dumbledore voice, "It is our choices, Harry, that show what we truly are, far more than our abilities." Say it with me in your best old man voice and put your name in right there. It is our choices, Jessica, that show what we truly are, far more than our abilities. I really like this quote. It sounds like it could come out of General Conference, doesn't it? I mean, look at Dumbledore. He looks like a prophet. He looks like Joseph F. Smith. Really, this is exactly what you would hear, right, from any prophet, saying your life is about your choices. That's what your life is about. If you want to have a successful life, you have got to make successful choices. If you don't like Dumbledore, I'll give you John Wayne. He said, life is hard. It's harder if you're stupid. Yes, if you're stupid and you make bad choices, life is going to be really hard. Well, luckily you have people around you who really want to help you. And that's really what Ensign Athletics is about, is looking back saying, okay, how are we going to help young people? You guys are facing a difficult world. How are we going to help you get through that? Still cling to the gospel, cling to the church, and come over on, make it to this side of adulthood, and where you can do the same thing we're doing, which is looking back saying, how can you help others through? I wanted to tell you about one of my heroes. His name is Roger Bannister. I don't know if you know the name Roger Bannister, but he did something that no other human being had done before. And the date was May 6th, 1954. You can see the picture there on the right. It was back when the world is black and white. I don't know how they handled that, but May 6th, 1954, no human being, at least in recorded history, I'm sure someone had done it before running from a cheetah or something, but no human being in recorded history had ever run a mile in under 4 minutes. It was windy that day. One of his coaches, one of his managers said, do you want to cancel? And he said, we just need the wind to die down for 4 minutes. Right. And they kind of waited and waited, and the wind hit kind of a lull. And so they got started. Roger Bannister's got to run 4 times around the track, and he runs his first lap in 57.5 seconds. He is well on his way to a 4-minute mile if he can just keep going. But everybody knows that first quarter, or that first part of the game, you really got your energy up, and then things start to hurt a little bit, right? And so he runs his second lap in 1 minute, 0.7 seconds. That puts him at 158.2. He's still just fine, well on his way. The third quarter of everything can be difficult. The third quarter of a game, right? That always hurts the Jazz, drives me crazy. The third quarter of a school year, right? That time where you've gone, you've come a long way, but you still have quite a bit yet to go. And he runs a 102.3. Now, if you look from lap 1 to lap 2, and then lap 2 to lap 3, he's adding 1 to 2 seconds with every lap. And if he does that on his fourth lap, he's going to run like a 103 or a 104. And he's not going to break that 4-minute barrier. Now look at the quote at the top. He said, the man or woman who can drive themselves further once the effort gets painful. Notice he doesn't say the man or woman who can drive themselves until it's painful, but the man or woman who can drive themselves further once the effort gets painful is the one who wins. And one of the reasons Roger Bannister is one of my heroes is because, some people would say, oh, he must have been holding back on lap 2 and lap 3. I don't know if you've ever tried to run a lap in under 1 minute, but you're not holding back. He is just going as hard as he can the entire way. And Roger Bannister on his fourth lap runs a 58.9, and being the first human being to ever cross the 4-minute mile barrier, 3:59.4. Again, the man or woman who can drive themselves further when it gets painful is the one who wins. I think that is part of our mantra at Ensign Athletics. It's this idea of we want to push each other to the very best that we can possibly be, not just in athletics, although that is a big part of this, but also in spirituality, in morality, in purity. We want to help each other go as far as we possibly can, even when it gets painful, even when it gets difficult. I wanted to show you someone who I think kind of embodies this. He's not a member of the church. I got 2 people for you. I forgot about Crystal. I want to talk to you first about Crystal. So Crystal is a girl out of San Antonio, Texas. Not a member of the church, but someone who I just think is absolutely phenomenal. The person who can drive themselves further when the effort gets painful, right? So Crystal started CrossFitting when she was, in her early 20s, and she was really having a good time. She was an athlete in high school, and CrossFit gave her a chance to compete as an adult. And she was really getting into it and really getting into some local competitions, and she was winning when she and her boyfriend were in a car accident that severed her right arm. You can see right there. She is right-handed. Now you would think that she would say, well, that's it, right? That's the end of my CrossFitting career. I have a good reason to stop. I would say that it's a good reason to stop, right? But Crystal continues to compete. Within a month of the accident, she's back in the gym, working on getting ready for competitions. And now she competes still and is still winning. she is still winning in CrossFit competitions. And I read an article on Crystal, and she said this was her favorite quote. C.S. Lewis, hardships often prepare ordinary people for an extraordinary destiny. Hardships often prepare ordinary people for an extraordinary destiny. Think about that. Think about the last time you've hit a moment in life where you thought, I can't keep going, right? I can't continue on. And yet here, the man or woman who can drive themselves further once the effort gets painful is the one who overcomes, is the one who wins. The other one I was talking about is a man named Erik Weihenmayer. Again, not a member of the church, fantastic athlete. Well, I'll give you some background. Erik was in 4th grade when he came home from school one day and he said, Mom, my eyes are really hurting. And his mom just said, it's because you watch too much TV, right? Has your mom ever told you that? You watch too much TV? And he said, okay. And so he stopped watching TV, but his eyes kept hurting. And he said a couple of days later, Mom, my eyes still really hurt. And she said, you must have like a sinus infection or a cold. So she gave him some Advil, and, a couple of days later, he's still saying, I don't know why, but my eyes are really hurting. And she said, well, we better go to the doctor. It's a long journey for them. But they eventually find out that this little boy, who is just 9 years old, has a degenerative eye disease, and he will be totally and completely blind in the next few years. So when everybody else is out playing kickball at recess or learning their favorite sports, Erik has to deal with now this idea that he is going to be completely and totally blind. He kind of wanted to just sit on his bed and feel sorry for himself. I don't know if you've ever done that before, but I have. I just want to sit on my bed and feel bad about how my life is so much harder than other people's. And he said his mom sat next to him, and they cried and talked and cried. And she basically said, Erik, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. You don't deserve this. You should, I wish things were different. But then she said, Erik, it is what it is. This is your life now. So we're moving forward. We're going to figure this out. And so he said, we got up off that bed and we started looking into, what is it like to be blind? She enrolled him in a school for the blind. He had to learn to read Braille as a little 10-year-old boy. He had to learn to walk with a cane. He said he hated it. His friends would make fun of him for it. And he dropped the cane down the sewer because he hated it so much. They got him a dog, and he learned how to walk with just using a dog to get around. And by the time Erik Weihenmayer's in 9th grade, he's completely and totally blind, but he's fully functioning. He can continue in school. He can read, he can write, and he's doing really well. Now, as I'm reading his book, To Touch at the Top of the World, he came, I read this story about him being blind. And then I came to this next part that said, let me tell you about the hardest time of my life. And I'm like, well, I've already read about the hardest time of your life. It was back here in chapter 3. Well, what are we talking about now? And he said the hardest day of his life came when he was in school and he got called to the office. He was a sophomore in high school, totally blind. And he could hear his father crying in the office. And he said, Dad, what's wrong? And his father had to tell him that his mother had been killed in a car accident. And he said, that's the day that the lights went out. He said, I fell apart. I couldn't live without her. Right. A lot of you just, you love your mom so much. Don't be crazy. Don't hurry and text them and be like, I love you. Just so if you die, don't do that. Don't do that. But make sure that make sure your mom knows how much you love her. And he sat down on his bed and he just wanted to sit there and feel sorry for himself. And he said, kind of in the back of his mind, he could hear her. And she said, Erik, I'm so sorry. You don't deserve this. It's just going to be so hard. But Erik, it is what it is. And this is your life now. And you're not just going to sit on this bed and do nothing. Let's go. And so he said, for the second time in my life, I got up back off my bed and started working. But the interesting part of this part of Erik's story is that he wanted to get a part-time job so he could help his dad pay the bills. But no one would hire him. He's trying to make $4 an hour. That was minimum wage at the time. He's just trying to make $4 an hour, but no one will hire him because he's blind. And they won't even give him a chance. He said, just let me wash dishes. No, you can't do it. Just let me take tickets at the movies, right? Just something. No, you can't do it. You can't do it. You're blind. And finally, in one of his last interviews, someone said to him, Erik, I can't hire you because you are nothing but limitations. I can't hire you because you are nothing but limitations. Now, I'm sure you in your life have been insulted maybe by an adult, a teacher, a coach. Someone just said something and they weren't thinking, right? But it lit a fire in him that was never going to go out. He went home and decided his life was going to be about showing people that he did not have limitations, that he could take the limitations off and do anything he wanted to do. He called one of his best friends up and he said, "You're going to teach me to rock climb." And the friend said, "Wait, is this Eric?" And he said, "Yeah." He said, "Eric, you're blind." And he said, "Figure that out on your own, genius." "Yeah, I know I'm blind. You're going to teach me to rock climb." And the kid said, "Where? How?" And he said, "We'll start on my chimney." So that next Saturday, they had the ropes all hooked up and his buddies there kind of watching him. And Eric said he tried to climb his chimney and his friend would say, "You got to reach." And he said, "I am reaching." He said, "No, Eric, you really reach." And so Eric would really reach and he'd miss and he'd scrape his face on the chimney, just rip. He said, "Just rip across my face." And his friend would say, "Can we quit, please?" And he said, "No, let's try it again." And they'd do it again. "No, let's try it again." And it just over and over on that chimney every Saturday. "No, let's try it again." Till pretty soon he could do it. He could climb that chimney without missing a climb hold. You guys, he is totally, completely blind. He cannot see this, but he can climb that chimney. Well, I'll make this long story short. Erik Weihenmayer becomes the only blind man to ever summit Mount Everest. Let me show you some of the pictures from the climb. He is completely and totally blind. Do you think they told him how far down it was? Right? He's like, "How far down is it?" "Not far. Just why don't you get up here?" This is one of my favorite pictures right here. Here's Erik Weihenmayer, completely and totally blind. Wouldn't you love to tell him he had limitations, right? You're nothing but limitations. Oh, by the way, did you know that man who told him he was nothing but limitations because he couldn't hire him for $4 an hour? If you want Erik Weihenmayer to come speak to your business now, after he's climbed all the highest mountains in the world, now that he has written books, he's around, I think it's somewhere around $80,000 to $90,000 for him to come talk to you for an hour. An hour. He'll come talk to you for an hour. That's pretty good when he couldn't get a $4 an hour job, right? That's almost exactly as much as Ensign Athletics is paying me for tonight, by the way. Just kidding. Well, the $4 an hour, that might move more for it, but I'm not here for the money. I'm here for you guys. Now, let's go back, right? Well, first I wanted to show you a couple of quotes from his book. Look what he read. Look what he wrote here. He said, "After 16 years of blindness, one thing I've learned is life is not easy." Who's already learned that? Any of you, have you been alive long enough to realize this is not going to be easy? It's exciting. It's challenging. Maybe it's rewarding from time to time, but it is never easy. Then look at this simple quote, but it has stayed with me ever since I read it in his book. "Every few moments when I thought I was at my absolute limit, I was able to push through it." Every few moments, I thought that was it. I thought that was as far as I could possibly go, that I just can't go any further. But then he would go a little further. And then he thought, that's as far as I can possibly go. And then he would go a little further. I was able to push through it just a little bit. I was able to push that limit. He said some limits are real. Like you can't climb a 30,000 foot peak without acclimatizing to the oxygen levels, right? He said some limits are real, but most limits, listen to this, he said, are imposed in our mind. They're not actually there. I want to ask you a question. What would you do if we took the limits off your life? Now, I know some of you are 8 years old and you'd be like, "I would fly." Yes, I know that. But what about if we took your limits off? What would you do? What would you do? Would you try out for more teams? Would you do, would you try out for other things? Would you try out for new positions? If we took your limits off, what would you do? What would you go try for? Right? Every time I thought, he says, I was at my absolute limit, I was able to push through it. All right. Now, I want to go back to our friend, Roger Bannister, the man who said, "The man or woman who can push themselves further once the effort gets painful, that's the one who wins." I was looking at that quote, and as I was preparing for our team meeting tonight, and I had a thought. Probably the individual that I could say emulates this quote more than anyone else is the Savior of the world. Think about it. The man or woman who can push themselves further once the effort gets painful is the one who wins. Elder Jeffrey R. Holland said, salvation never was easy. We are the church of Jesus Christ. This is the truth, and he is our great eternal head. How could we believe it would be easy for us when it was never easy for him? If he could come forward in the night, kneel down, fall on his face, bleed from every pore, and cry, Abba, Father, if this cup can pass, let it pass, then little wonder that salvation is not whimsical or easy thing for us. If you wonder if there isn't an easier way, you should remember you're not the first one to ask that. Someone a lot greater and a lot grander asked a long time ago if there wasn't an easier way. President Thomas S. Monson, you probably remember him. Sorry, let me go back. Said, only the master knows the depths of our trials, our pain, and our suffering. He alone offers us eternal peace in times of adversity. We are right now in the world experiencing something historic, something that will be talked about for decades, something that your children and grandchildren will learn about in history books. And we are in a time of adversity. So look at that sentence again. He alone offers us eternal peace in times of adversity. Whether it's the best of times or the worst of times, he is with us. He has promised that this will never change. He has promised that this will never change. And I leave that with you in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Now I'm going to stop share, and so I can come back to Gary here. Gary, you with me?
Yes, sir.
Beautiful.
Wow, what a powerful story. Thank you so much for that. The Eric Weinmayer story kind of reminds me of Viktor Frankl.
Yeah.
A little bit, with his experience in the internment camps during the Holocaust. So what a great story. Thank you so much for that. We do have a kind of a mixed bag of questions, if that's okay, Hank.
Hey.
Some that have come in previously or during the session. But in light of, you talked about removing individual limits and limitations. So somebody asked, if I'm dealing with depression, or I think I'm dealing with depression, how can I reconcile that with what can be removed, right? Through utilizing the Savior and the atonement.
Oh, wow. What a fantastic question. I think first thing we've got to do is, I have so much to say on this. Don't let me go on too long, Gary. The rates of depression and anxiety among teenagers are increasing. They keep climbing year after year since about 2009. They remained steady and then came up a little blip, and then about 2009 they kept increasing, and they haven't stopped. And there's plenty of reasons that people give as to why this is happening. But I'm not so much concerned as why it's happening right now, because I'm not a researcher looking into that. I'm more concerned about what do we do about it until we know exactly what's causing it. So if you are experiencing this, know that you are not alone, that there are many teens just like you who are feeling the exact same thing. You're not broken, and it's not a character flaw. This isn't a pray harder, work harder disease. This is a medical problem. And you want to talk to an adult until you find one who will listen. I'm hoping that your parents will listen to you, and they'll get you to someone who can help you with this. There are doctors and therapists who have the skill set necessary to help you and to help you manage this. Much like Eric's blindness, he couldn't have just done it. He couldn't have said, well, I'll just pray harder, right? He couldn't have just said, well, I'll just really work hard and just fight through it. This was an actual medical problem that he's going to need people to help him through. But once he got to those people who knew how to help him, you could see that he was able to take off. Right? He was able to learn to manage this. Depression and anxiety, much like diabetes or any long-term illness, is something you're going to have to learn to manage. It's going to be part of your life for a long time, and you can learn to manage it. And I would say attack it from all sides. Attack it from a spiritual side with prayer and fasting, right? And reading your scriptures and really writing. I would attack it from an emotional side. I would see a therapist. And there's nothing wrong with seeing a therapist. It doesn't mean you're weak. Healthy people have therapists. I would attack it from a physical side. Lots of exercise is really good for depression. Fix your diet, right? Ding dongs and a Mountain Dew probably isn't the best breakfast for your brain, right? I would address it from a, let's see, we did emotional, spiritual, and physical. I would address it again from, we did emotional. I was thinking of another one, like your mindset, like therapy when it comes to mindfulness, right? Meditation, that type of thing. I would really attack it from all those sides. And then we've got to believe that we will learn to manage this, that eventually this weakness, and it is a weakness, not a weakness like as in, you're so weak, but it is a flaw of being mortal. This flaw, this thing can be turned and made a strength. You're going to learn to manage it, and you're going to be able to turn around and help others with it. So, I mean, that is just a spectacular question. I would really just don't try to do it alone. Don't try to say, well, I'm going to keep it quiet. I'm going to keep it in-house, just with myself. That type of attitude, I rarely see people succeed there, but I see a lot of people succeed in managing this when they go to their parents, other leaders, doctors and therapists, people who can help them, who do this stuff every day. I hope that helps. Gary, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, no, I think that was excellent. Thank you. And I'll just reiterate for the listeners out there and for people who are going to watch this video at a future date, there's nothing wrong with going to your parents, going to church leaders, people that you trust, right? And that will give you sound advice. And then going to therapists, to clinicians, whether it's a psychiatrist or psychologist, and say, hey, I'm struggling here and I'm not sure how to reconcile these things, or I'm not sure if my fitness for X, Y, or Z is where it needs to be. But there's no shame in that. There should be no embarrassment with that. I think we've heard enough from the pulpit, as Latter-day Saints to coincide and to corroborate that position of, go ahead and seek professional help.
Yeah, I would say, you treat it like an injury, right? In sports, if you have an injury, you're going to go to a specialist and say, hey, I got a problem with my knee here. I got a problem with my ankle. You're not just going to keep playing on it, hoping that it's going to get better. You're going to go to somebody who can say, hey, I worked with that every day. Let me help you out and get you to the point where it's not a problem for you.
Great. Thank you so much. Kind of in that same vein of, confidence and limitations. This is something that I personally kind of struggled with during my formative years, but how can somebody, detach themselves, divest themselves from limitations involving building confidence with the opposite sex, right? So 16 or you're 25, I don't think anyone's immune from having those initial issues or self-doubts. So how can people build confidence with the opposite sex that are looking to engage and eventually marry somebody?
Yeah, that is such a good question. It's hard for me to remember that kind of thing because that was back in the 1900s for me, Gary. I mean, we're talking a long time ago where I was having to deal with these issues. But I probably picked up a few tips around, just from being alive and working with teenagers for so long. One of them that I really liked actually came from my friend Hillary Weeks. She's a singer, songwriter, and most people wouldn't realize that Hillary is really anxious in social situations. Here she is. She's written albums. She's done really well. And, a lot of people look to her as this really amazing artist. And she kind of confided in me. She said, yeah, for a long time, I was really nervous in social situations. She said, but it turned around once when I had kind of a moment of inspiration. And here's what she said. I stopped thinking about what others thought about me, and I started thinking or worrying about what they thought about themselves when they were with me. So she said, when I go into any social situation, instead of, oh, how do I look? How are these people experiencing me? Do I look stupid? She just constantly focuses on, do these people feel good about themselves? And can I help with that? And she said that kind of takes the nervousness a little bit away, and I can start just looking at them saying, what could I find in them to make them feel good about themselves? And she does that, right? When when I get around her, she's like, "You're just the greatest. You know what you've done for my family. You know." I'm like, "Hillary, stop!" Right? And then I'm like, "Yeah, okay, keep going, right?" Because we love to have someone around us who just, you don't want to compliment someone if you don't believe it. I don't come up to my friend Jessica and be like, "You're really nice. Okay, do you like me now?" No, I mean it's got to be sincere, right? But if we can find that sincerity, that genuinely helps. My dad used to say, "You wouldn't worry what people thought about you if you realized how little they did think about you," right? That they're just, most people are just like you. They're worried about what other people are thinking about them. And then lastly, I would say that confidence in public life for me personally, and I think everyone here on the team would probably say the same thing. Confidence in my public life has come from a very strong private relationship with God. So when you have your private relationship with God set, it's like having a firm foundation and you can build on that. But if you don't have that set and there's no foundation, can you see how your house is going to be really wobbly? So let your confidence, if you can, I hope you'll test this out here and give it a try. Let your confidence come from a strong, unseen, because most foundations of houses are unseen, right? Let that come from a strong, unseen foundation. And I think what you'll see is your public confidence kind of grow naturally. It's like having strong roots of a tree. If the roots are strong, the fruit's going to be there. But don't focus on the fruit. That's the outward piece. Focus on the roots, and the fruit grows naturally. What do you think, Gary? You can jump in because you're way younger than me. Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's that old adage of, people forget what you say, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. Kind of to your point earlier, but also to your father's point of, we're so worried and concerned with what people are, how they view us and what they think about us. But really, do you remember what, your neighboring classmate did, at any point in time during your sophomore year, if you're in college or beyond? Like, no, like we don't remember those things because they aren't important. I mean, I can't tell you what the speaker in church said 2 months ago, or pre-COVID or whatever. So I wouldn't be so concerned with, how you look, how you're dressing, and more concerned with how are you treating people and how you treat yourself and how you present yourself. And I think the attraction will obviously come naturally.
I think you're right on there. I took my daughter I've taken my 16-year-old daughter to Israel a couple of times just because I do tours there. And one thing that getting outside of her neighborhood, her social circle has shown her is that the world does not revolve around Maple Mountain High School, right? Like she saw, the world and how amazing and wonderful it is. And it kind of filled her with this sense of, wait, what's going on in sixth period English is not as crucial as I thought it was.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Thank you so much. And just in the spirit of kind of getting through as many questions as possible.
Yeah.
So sorry, not trying to rush you, but
no problem.
We've got, I think, a ton of great questions, like I mentioned, and so kind of delving into more of the spiritual questions in relation to your relationship with God and how you come to know these things, kind of the more epistemological aspect of testimony. So one viewer asks, how do I stand up for the church and my beliefs when I'm a minority among many non-member friends? And I think this could be in a social setting like your team, right? If you're an athlete on cross country or softball and you play, anywhere really, maybe outside of Utah, but you have a majority non-member, or you're at school, or, some kind of hobby you have, if you're a singer or, show choir, etc. So how do you stand up for your beliefs in a setting like that? What would you recommend?
Man, I'll tell you, that is rough. It's a lot harder than it sounds when we talk about it. I remember the first time really it happened to me when I was in high school, and I was faced in a situation where everybody was drinking alcohol, and I knew I wasn't going to drink it, but I was surprised about how awkward it was. I didn't know what to say. I was kind of staring at everybody, and they're looking at me, and I'm going, I think I just fell on my face. I didn't drink, which I think was the most important part, but I don't think I stood up for anything. I think they thought, what a weirdo. Right. And it's okay. Like, your life is not meant to be a church video. There's not going to be angels and big montages where everybody goes on missions together. You can flop, and that's okay. You can flop, and that's the way it goes. I'll tell you a quick story. I had a kid named Trevor in my class, in a seminary class once, and he was the only member of the church on his baseball team. And he came to me, and we've been buddies for a long time. He was a senior, and I'd been a seminary teacher for years. And he called me Smith. He's like, "Hey, Smith." And I was like, "Yeah." And he said, is it really that bad to chew tobacco? And I said, "Well, why are you asking this? Like, where did this come from?" And he goes, just answer the question. Is it really that bad? Can I still serve a mission if I chew tobacco? And I'm like, well, no, you have to tell me where in the world this is coming from. And he's like, "Well, Smith." And he kind of shut the office door, and he goes, "I'm the only kid on the team that doesn't chew tobacco, and it's getting old." And I was like, "What do you mean it's getting old?" He's like, "I'm pretty much not on the team. Like, they just won't, they don't hang out with me. I sit alone on the bus. I'm alone at the hotels." And he's like, "I just figure, I can chew tobacco a little bit with them, and, no big deal. Right?" And, I'm trying to play it cool. This is one of those moments as an adult where your mind's like, don't slap the child. Don't slap the child. And so you're like, I'm not going to hurt him. I'm not going to hurt him. But I can picture in my mind, this is not going to go well. Right? This is, I just think, no, don't do this. Don't do this. It's not going to go well. But I didn't want to, jump down its throat and get mad at him. So I said, "Well, what do you think? Right? What do you think?" And he's like, I don't know. And we kind of went back and forth, and I asked him some more questions. And luckily, the Lord is just good. He's really good at this. We just happened to be studying Abinadi in class and in seminary. And he was in my seminary class. And I was like, "Okay, everybody, tell me what we learned from Abinadi. I'll give you, 60 seconds to think about it, and then we'll have you all share." And as I'm watching him. And then I just, I called on one girl. I'm like, "Hey, Sarah, what do you think?" And she gave a great answer, because that's senior girls are amazing spiritual giants. And I said, "Hey, Trevor, what about you? What about you?" And he kind of looks at me like, I noticed Abinadi, stood up for what he believed in, even though no one else did. And I guess, there's going to be times where we're like that. And I was like, "Yeah. Can you think of any time in your life where you might have to stand up and be the only one?" And all of a sudden it hits him. He's like, "Yeah, I can." And I was like, "What are you going to do?" I remember he's like, and we all wrote in our scriptures what Trevor said. He said, "Even if I have to stand alone, God expects me to stand." And I'll tell you, Trevor doesn't chew tobacco, never did. Went on to play baseball. BYU, went to law school. He's a lawyer. I think he lives up in Washington, has a wife and children. He's happy as ever. Right. These are difficult times. Like, this is not easy. You may fall on your face. But even if you have to stand all alone, you can do it. You can stand. Gary, what do you add? Oh, Gary's pondering, everyone.
Thank you. And
your internet's going in and out here, Gary. Or is it just me, or is it Gary?
Oh, it's Gary. So
Okay.
It's not me, it's you, Gary.
Yeah.
sorry, am I back on?
Back, Gary, you're back.
I'm so sorry about that. Sorry. So no, when I was hearing you talk, I was just thinking about how the Savior had to go through being abandoned, right, in his most critical hour in a lot of ways, obviously on the doorstep and the eve of Gethsemane and what happened there. And whenever I'm going through a personal hardship or struggle, I always think, well, why should I be exempt from these things when the Savior wasn't?
Yep.
When his best friends turned their back on him and left him alone, right? Including God the Father, in essence, had to withdraw himself in that moment in time. So, no, I appreciate those thoughts. Thank you. Anything else to add to that one? Sorry, I cut out.
Oh, no,
for a
no.
moment there.
I have so much I've thought about. As a professional speaker, I get turned down. I get rejected basically from all sorts of events because of my faith. Because you can, Google my name and there I am, talking about God, and people will say, is there any way that you could kind of distance yourself from that before our event? Is there any way you could kind of hold back on that? And my answer is always, no, I don't need your event that badly. And maybe we could do that with, some friends who are like, hey, maybe you could, not stand up for that. Maybe you cannot say something. And a friend will love you because of who you are. I have a great friend who's a Jehovah's Witness. He talks about being a Jehovah's Witness all the time because it's his whole life. It's his whole world. And I'm his friend because of that. I would never ask him. I would never say, hey, could you tone that back a little bit? Could you stop that? Because that's who he is. It's the essence of who he is. It's the way he thinks about the world. So as hard as it is sometimes to have opportunities, taken from you because of your faith, I think Gary's right on. The Savior did it, and many people have done it before, and you're lining up shoulder to shoulder with the best of the best.
Well, and I think to your situation, your example with your friend who's a Jehovah's Witness, I think a lot of times, that bond can really anchor us to somebody, unlike a bond within the church, because we kind of take for granted that we are LDS, we have shared values. But when you have this kind of cross religious tethering that goes on, for example, my mom's Jehovah's Witness, so she's not a member of our church either. And there are unique aspects of our relationship that I don't think would exist, but for the fact that she has a conviction to Jesus Christ, but in a different faith, maybe in a different, in a different way. So thank you for that.
It's quite beautiful. Yeah. Do we have any questions, Gary? I'm liking this. I feel like I feel like I'm hitting, you're pitching and I'm hitting home runs here.
You're hitting 1,000 right now, Hank. You really are. So thank you.
Yeah.
This one I think is a great question. It's poignant, it's pointed. And as a religion professor, I think you're in a unique chair to answer the question. You probably have this come up every once in a while, but somebody asks, sometimes commandments feel like rules that keep us from having fun. There's that old joke of the t-shirt that says, I can't, I'm Mormon. Right. So what's the point to all these rules, and how can we maybe change our paradigm to shift away from I can't, I'm LDS to, what's actually empowering to me because I do have all of these things. The rules aren't a handicap. They're actually an advantage.
Yep. And that's going to be one of those moments in life where you all of a sudden realize the Lord has set up more of like guardrails than fences. The idea of a fence is like to keep me away from something. A guardrail keeps me away from danger. And so it's hard to say, well, which one is it? Are the commandments a guardrail, or are they a fence? So I'm a story guy. So I'll tell you a quick story. So David O. McKay, he was a big cowboy. And my mom, that was the prophet of her youth. She would tell me about David O. McKay. And this one story he told at General Conference about this horse. He said this horse was absolutely amazing. Probably the finest horse he'd ever owned under the saddle. He said under the saddle, he would do anything. He was just faster than all the others. He could turn faster. He was just smart. He said, but outside the saddle, he resented restraint. One more time, just hear that. He resented restraint. He hated being tied up. He hated fences. He hated gates, and he always was finding ways out. He thought other horses hated restraint because David O. McKay said he would go over and nibble on their ropes until he got them untied. He said, it didn't matter how I could, I'd tie up a gate. That horse, Dandy, his name was Dandy. He said he could find a way out. And he said it got him hit by a car. I think the car got hit by the horse, but either way, he said, I was hoping that getting hit by the car would cure him of his, he just had to get away. And he said, but the day came and I knew it would come. because I found the fence open again, and Dandy and another horse had gotten out. They'd found a tack shed that had the door unlocked. They'd gotten in and had found just stacks and stacks of grain. So like to a horse, it's ice cream. So they dove into these sacks of grain and ate and ate and ate, not knowing that all of those sacks of grain are all baited with rat poison to keep them away from the real sacks of grain that are up at the barn. And he said, by the time I got there, they're both writhing in pain. They're foaming at the mouth. And he said, I don't even have a gun to put them out of their misery. I had to just sit there with them while they both died. And then he got emotional. I don't know if any of you love an animal like David O. McKay loved his horses, but he got emotional. And he said, that horse could not understand. That fence was not there to restrain it. That fence was there to protect it from things it didn't understand. Right? That fence was there to protect it, not to restrain it. And the commandments that the Lord has given us, and that, President Nelson doesn't sit in his office like the youth are having fun, they must be stopped. No, he is thinking, how do we help? How do we save? How do we help them through this difficult time of life? And as you keep going at it, the hope is, and my hope is, it happened for me, and Gary, I'm sure it happened for you, is that eventually, as your mindset changes, it becomes who you are. It's not that difficult to live the commandments. I don't find myself every day wondering if I'm going to keep the commandments. Because it's become who I am.
Right.
It's the way I look at the world. It's the way I think. So yes, right now you might go, oh, I don't understand this. It just feels like a lot of restraint. But eventually what you'll see is as you live the Lord's way, he'll guide you to a place where the freedom is expansive, where you have all freedom. I think the adversary's way is, look, come in this doorway here. Look how wide open it is. You can do anything you want. And then slowly your freedom will be taken away from you through addiction or anything else. So part of this is having faith that the Lord is going to, open up a beautiful life in front of you through these commandments.
Yeah, that's, I don't know if you know Jocko Willink. He's a former Navy SEAL. He's somebody who is known for his rigorous schedule. He wakes up every morning at 4:30 or 5, works out, has dedicated his life to a strict schedule and regimen. But he says, because I do these things, I have greater freedom in the end.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not subject and a victim to, and he gives examples of laziness, different, types of gluttony, etc. And because of that, I'm in great shape. People want to hear from me, and it's opened so many doors because I'm so strict with my habits and behavior. I actually have an enhanced quality of life.
Yep.
And so kind of what along those lines as to what you're saying. So no, that's great. Thank you. You know what? We're nearing the top of the hour. I do want to ask one last quick question.
Oh, yeah.
And then thank everybody for being on tonight. So if you had to give just an elevator response, 30-second responses to, how can teenagers today, if they're 14, 17, 18, how can they best ensure in 10 years from now, when they've made those life critical decisions, college, spouse, whether or not to have kids, career, etc., what is the advice you would give them that could set them on the right trajectory?
Oh, wow. That is such a fantastic question. I have found that in my time working with young people, those who get to where they want to be, where they feel like they're in the right place at the right time doing the right things, are those who always did little things along the way. They did those right little things that God has said, okay, hey, read your scriptures every day, right? You don't have to become a scriptorian. Just read your scriptures every day. Stay involved in the church. Go on your mission. Or if you don't feel like that's it, in the plan for you, if you're a girl, then I want you to go to this, this college, just keep doing these tiny little things and asking the Lord for help. And what happens, and there's an interesting thing that happens when you just try to follow the Savior's footsteps every day. Like, you don't concentrate on what's out there. You just say, okay, what would the Savior have me do for the next step? And what would Christ have me do for the next step? And then I just keep walking. And then you look up and you realize that following the Savior's footsteps has led you exactly where you want to be. And I think it's a lot like that, where we think we're kind of in charge and running things, but when we turn our life over to God, when we just say, okay, I'll do what you ask me to do, even though I don't understand why, we kind of switch places on a tandem bicycle, right? Where I was steering and he was pedaling. How about I say you steer and I'll pedal? And then we go places, we go beautiful places that I never could have gone by myself.
And with that, what a great way to end a phenomenal hour. Dr. Hank, thank you so much for your time. This has been what's that?
You got it, Gary. And what's our next one? Do we have another team meeting coming up?
Yeah. So what an extraordinary hour this was. We do have another team meeting coming up in a couple of weeks on Sunday, October 11th with Noelle Picus Pace. Noelle, as many of you know, is an Olympic silver medalist, and she will be joining us then in 2 weeks' time. Time is to be determined still. So please look out, like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram or Twitter, and we look forward to seeing you in the future and to many more of these types of sessions. Again, a special thanks tonight to Dr. Hank Smith, extraordinary speaker, extraordinary friend to Ensign Athletics and the youth in the church. So have a great night, everybody. And again, thanks, Dr. Hank.
You got it. Good night, everyone. Thank you.